Yes, it is recording. Okay. So module 3. Module 3 is drawing on some of the terms that we started to use in class. I've listed 7 or 8 terms that I'd like you to define for this assignment. And that's going to draw on the Zellman reading, but also some additional readings and conversation we talked about in class. So the terms that I'd like you to think about are terms that we hear a lot about when we talk about website design and web authoring. Usability, accessibility, arrangement, layout, language considerations. Some of you have talked about that a little bit with me. Access, which is something that we've talked about with alt tags, for example. Color scheme, font selection, logo and branding, and navigation. We talk about navigation a lot in web authoring. So basically, I'd like you all to kind of be comfortable with those words in your web authoring vernacular and the way you describe your writing. And to get you there, I'd like you all to work on defining those terms. 5 or 6 of your choice. Draw on the Zellman for that, but also I'm going to throw up some additional readings that will help you think about those terms in smart ways. So that's the first part. And there's actually 4 parts to this assignment. There's 2 questions and 2 tasks. So the first question is basically to go and define those terms. And one of the tasks associated with that is to find some sources. You can use APA or MLA citation practices, but I'd like you to turn into me a report type document that, and you can structure it any way you want. I'm not concerned about the arrangement of it. I just want you to address the 4 points. So point 1 basically is to define those terms. Question 1. Question 2 is basically provide source material for that. So go and find some smart readings that help you think about and define these terms. So a little bit of research there. Task 1 is a little bit different. I'd like you all to go and after you've defined these terms, think about your daily web surfing practices, and I'd like you to make some connections, some conceptual connections between these terms and a website that you have a certain degree of familiarity with on a weekly or bi-weekly basis. How do these terms help you or not help you to think about the design and usability of that website? To do this, I'd like you to do something technical for this assignment, purely technical, which is to do a screen capture and save it as a file, and then import it into your report. A lot of you did this importing of visuals with your first report, but I'd like you to get into the habit of doing screen captures on a pretty regular basis. I've linked over to a couple different ways to do that, and I'm going to go over that in class in the next 2 weeks too, both for OS X on Mac and for Windows. Windows actually has a pretty easy screen capture feature that saves it as a BMP file to your desktop, and there's a really good software package for Mac called Snap-it, which is free, and it allows you to take really good screen captures of your desktop. So the final thing I'd like you to do is after you do those things, after you define the terms, provide source material for those terms that help you define them, think of a website to analyze, do a screen capture of it, is I'd like you to reflect on the differences between the types of terminology that we use to describe print documents. And a lot of you have had either first-year composition or other writing courses here in professional writing, or you've had literature courses in high school. I'd like you to think about the terminology that you used in those courses and compare that to the ways in which web authoring are being talked about and the words that are being used. Connect some things for me. Find some similarities or differences or some reactions that draw on the work that we did in the first half of this assignment. So that's pretty much it. You're going to turn this into me either as an RTF file or as a Microsoft Word document. But if you do Microsoft Word, I prefer you do RTF, but if you do Microsoft Word, please do not do Word 2007 because I can't open those at all. So no docx. prefer RTF or open document format. So, any questions at all? Pretty straightforward, or a lot of small tasks that add up to sort of a larger report. I have no length requirements for this. I'd like you to address the best of your ability each of these four things. Yeah.
How do we include our capture of our screen? Do we do that as an attachment, or like how do we?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So I'm going to repeat the question back just because I'm not sure if the mic can pick it up. But the question is, how do we include the screen capture into the document file of our report, or should we attach it? I'm going to show you how to do that. Basically, in the same way that we're going in Dreamweaver and doing insert and file, we can insert a visual file, a visual document file into either a Microsoft Word document or an RTF file. And we're going to go over that next week in class. So you don't have to worry at this point about the inserting of the visual element into your report, because we're going to go over that in class. And I'm going to post a tutorial on YouTube that goes over that as well. So in the next week, what might be helpful to do is to first work procedurally on defining those terms. Go back to the Zelman book. Think about how Zelman's working with those terms. I'm going to post some websites about every other day that help you think about these terms. And once you've defined and found some source material for those terms, the second half, just keep in mind, the back of your mind as you go throughout your week, what a good website might be to think about or analyze. And then the second half will probably come a little bit more naturally. Any other questions at all? Yeah.
Is the reflective statement the same thing as with question number 1, for instance?
That's a good question too. So I'm gonna repeat it back also for the camera. So the question is the reflective statement that I'm requiring at the end of the modules the same as that reflective compare, contrast, the differences in terminology between writing in print formats and writing in digital formats? They're actually two separate things. So one is, and that's confusing, that's my fault, I'm sorry. One is part of the assignment, and the other one is sort of external to it, and it's at the end once you've done everything, because you just kind of reflect on maybe a particular problem or, eureka moment or something that happened to you throughout working on this assignment, just to give me kind of a little bit of feedback in terms of what things you encountered in the assignment that I might need to think about in the future. It also gives me a good indication of how you're dealing with problems and problem solving, and it helps me with other assignments too. So that's a good question. Any other questions at all? Okay, I'm going to pause this. Hopefully I haven't destroyed it.